Good evening and welcome to the City Council meeting for Monday, March 18th, 2024, and we will begin with a roll call and determination of quorum.
Bieberdorf. Maher. Roberts. Stroman. Pettigrew. Sechrist. Lehman. Ham. Evans. Roseland. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Next, we'll have an invocation by Pastor Randy Brock, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you're willing and able, please rise.
Our Father, we thank you for the beautiful day you've given us. Lord, I pray we'd never take these days for granted. And Lord, I pray blessing over this meeting tonight, Lord God. I pray you give wisdom to these councilmen, councilwomen, and the Father God, all that have gathered here for this city. And Father God, right decisions will be made, because we're asking you for help, and we know we'll get it. So thank you, Father. We give you honor and praise tonight in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next, I'll take a motion to adopt the agenda. Motion by Roberts, second by Lehman to adopt. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Before we get started, got a couple of points of personal privilege from City Council members. First, we'll begin with Councilor Pettigrew.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. I asked for a few minutes tonight to acknowledge the great success out at the airport from the city's airport staff out there and the board. The Congress awarded the Rapid City Regional Airport $20 million this last week, and our state is working on trying to get us some money out of a $10 million fund. We won't get all of that. But with all the way people get news today, it's hard to get all the good news. And I just want people to understand that Patrick and his staff out there have done an amazing job. It's not only Patrick, but his support staff of Chris Dietz, Tony Broom, Megan, and Kristen out there. They put in immense amount of hours, immense amount of time. Patrick and board members have flown to Washington multiple times to lobby for this money, and they've made multiple trips to Pierre, testifying in front of all sorts of committees, again, in trying to get support for our airport. I don't think people realize how important our airport is to Western South Dakota. In my opinion, that's our biggest asset. If people come to Mount Rushmore and they don't drive, we don't have rail service, they have to get on an airplane. They go to Sturgis Motorcycle Rally and they don't ride their bike out here, we don't have rail service. They have to go through our airport. With all the expansion at Ellsworth Air Force Base, that airport is going to be more important than ever for the future of Rapid City. If you don't understand how the funding works, just briefly, Mayor, if I could take a few minutes. When you buy a ticket to Denver, say for $400, I just got back taking a long trip to Europe. I don't know what the ticket was. My wife buys all those things. But the airport itself gets like $12 out of that $400 ticket. If it's an $1,800 ticket, the airport gets $12. Sure, we get revenue from the airlines for landing fees. We collect revenue from the general aviation for lease rents. We get a few pennies when a gallon of fuel is pumped. There's a lot of revenue sources, but all those revenue sources just basically pay for the basic operation of the airport. That's the staff, that's the pushing of the snow, that's the cleaning the parking lot. It doesn't pay for the airport. And without these funds, the expansion that's occurring out there cannot happen and would not be happening. So Patrick and his staff just did an amazing job. I just wanted to give hats off to them for all the work. We have a long ways to go. This is $20 million of a $175 million project. So the state's going to have to dig into their pockets, and council, the city's going to have to step up to the plate here in the future and find some money to keep the airport functional and growing. I'd also like to thank Senator Rounds. He was the one in the Senate who pushed this through, got us to $20 million. And regionally, Representative Steve Duffy, Mike Derby, Senator Dave Johnson all did an amazing job up here trying to get us some funds. And Randy Dybert out of District 31 in Spearfish was a really strong advocate because he understands that this is a regional airport, not just a Rapid City airport. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We certainly appreciate the airport team. Next up, we go to Mr. Stroman.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to follow up on what Rod talked about and thank all the people that work so hard and tirelessly for the airport. And I don't know that he mentioned the board because he was on the board for several years before he became a councilman. But there have been people on the board that have worked tirelessly also. And I just want to make sure that we give a shout out to them. And thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Mayor. And I also wanted to bring up one thing tonight. Rapid City Area Schools serves lunch to every student who wants a lunch, regardless of their meal account balance. And the Rapid City Area School has a deficit in the meal account balance, and there have been people and organizations that have been trying to do something about that, including our own Youth City Council. They raised some money at a function to have money to go against the meal deficit. Private individuals have donated, businesses have, and today, between 4 and 8, Taco John's any Taco John's in Rapid City will donate 20% of their proceeds of their sales to this fund to reduce the meal deficit. And I was just there. It's well worth it. It tastes even better when it's for a good cause. And I think if you can get there tonight, if you don't hang around here too long, maybe Alderman Ham will pitch in on your meal. Thank you.
Thank you. And that takes us to the end. Thank you for the comments on the airport staff and the board. We certainly appreciate them. Next, we will go to a special presentation by the Community Relations Commission, and it looks like LaFon Janice and Denise Maher will be joining us.
Hi again, I'm Denise Maher. I am the chair of the Community Relations this year. So we also had Lori LaCroix, who is our vice chair, and LaFon here. And we just thank you for giving us a few minutes to update you on what we've been doing and what we plan on doing this upcoming year. So those of you who are new to the council from the last time we spoke, we were formed about 3 years ago. And really our goal of the commission is to empower our citizens of Rapid City to create a community that is culturally aware, embraces our diversity, and respects all the people that live here. And we do that in several different ways, but we often refer to the acronym BEAM, which you'll often see on our websites and a lot of our events if you've attended them. BEAM really means bridge cultures, educate ourselves and others, advocate for a safe place for our citizens' voices to be heard, and modeling respectful behaviors in everything we do. We've worked hard this past year to create and support events in our community that brought people together to address community issues, bring awareness to our cultural differences in Rapid City area. And we did a lot of this through learning forums, luncheons, immersion about place events, coffee chats, and we even have a cultural awareness training that we've rolled out this past year. In addition to that, we have a cultural awareness team that has been very successful the past year and the year before that as well in mediating and helping diffuse several situations in our community where there was a discrimination complaint brought to the attention of our commission. And this is a very powerful opportunity to have healing rather than divisiveness in these situations. While the majority of our efforts this last year have centered around the Native American community, and they will continue to do so, this year we're looking at expanding our focus to include areas of our community that also have an impact on our city, such as our School of Mines students and faculty, the Air Force Base, Monument Health, our National Guard, our growing Hispanic community, as well as working closer with law enforcement to try to help bridge a stronger relationship with the Native American community and our law enforcement team. So what I'd like to do real quick is just acknowledge our commissioners. I don't know if any of them are here or not, but Barry Tice, Becky Drury, Gina Nelson, Paula Longfox, Tiffany Petro, and Walt Swan. We'd like to thank all of them serving our commission. Did I leave somebody off? Lloyd. Well, we introduced Lloyd and LaFawn, so yes. So what I'd like to do now is go ahead and turn it over to LaFawn and Lloyd, and they can just really quickly highlight some of the things that we've done this year. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Denise, and thank you to the Rapid City Council for all of your hard work. I'm just going to highlight a few things. As many of you guys know, one of the things we'd help with was YCP 101, and that's turned over to another group that are doing that during the powwows. Another thing is the LNI that we do every year, the learning the hand games. That's gone very well, so I wanted to highlight that. But one of the things I think I'm most proud of in this last year is the cultural awareness training that's happening within the city that LaFawn's doing. I think that's one of the biggest, boldest moves that we've done, and I think it's gone well. And I think we're learning from it, and we've gotten some feedback from other companies that would like to have that done too. So I just wanted to highlight that and give kudos to LaFawn, Leah, and some others that all worked on this. And I think that's a great accomplishment for 3 years of work.
Thank you, Council Reps, for having us, and thank you for everything you're doing for our city. I'm just going to review, obviously, they said everything that we've been working on. But we do also not only educate, but we field discriminatory concerns and complaints within the city of Rapid City. So if anybody feels that they have been mistreated, they can come to our office and find a safe space to share. And we try to bring community members together, whether it's organizations or companies or whatnot, and then help people bridge that relationship and get to know one another. And it's been very successful. We have de-escalated a few situations. And so that's something that I'm really proud of our commissioners and our office of doing. We promote civil discourse, and we do that through a variety of efforts that include forums, roundtables, and the cultural awareness, diversity and inclusion trainings. At times, in some of our forums, which many of you have attended, there were nearly 40 different organizations that have attended. So I see that as a success in itself, that our community is willing to come together to have courageous conversations. We've partnered with numerous cultural programs throughout the city to promote positive relationship building while providing the community that opportunity to learn from another. Last fall, as I mentioned, we started working with the City Human Resource Department and we're fine-tuning the training so our city employees have an opportunity to engage in those courageous conversations for healthier workplace culture within their departments, and then that hopefully extends out into the community. We have an exciting upcoming opportunity that we're currently working on to partner with our local UJS, the Unified Justice Judicial System, with the reinduction of the Cultural Impact Panel. The Cultural Impact Panel will provide an opportunity for an alternative sentencing resource for our judges for the court system by helping defendants learn educational background about cultural diversity traditions and our regional history. This is an opportunity to listen and learn and understand the impact of discrimination in a variety of forms. So stay tuned for that. That's coming up this year. And then obviously we'll continue to have educational opportunities for everyone. So thank you for attending if you've attended previously, as we're here to try to service our entire community. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Janice and the commission. Now we will move on to general public comment. This is a time for members of the public to discuss or express concerns to the council on any issue not on the agenda. Action will not be taken at the meeting on any issue not on the agenda except by placement on the agenda by unanimous vote of the council members present. I do have a number of speaker request forms, so you have 3 minutes, and we have a color code up here to let you know how you're doing. Obviously, green means go, yellow means wrap it up, and red means stop. So the first person on the list is Adrienne Epp.
Well, I was kind of bummed I couldn't be here last time because you guys sent off that letter of support for Amtrak to come to the city, which I applaud the unanimous support for that. It would be extremely beneficial for this city. But I would also like to add that the city isn't ready for it. The people coming aren't they don't have a car to get around, and this is a very car-dependent city. You really do need to work on vamping up your public transportation because it is woefully underfunded, and improving the walkability and bikeability of this city, because otherwise any potential people coming by train will be just wasted on us because they can't get around. And you can't expect them to all rent cars here or something like that because it's not viable. So it's something that you need to start thinking about, start planning for, start improving this city. I mean, for crying out loud, the city has a walkability score of 28. We are failing. We are well down there. We are just terrible. So we need to get that solved. We need to work on improving this city. So thank you.
Next, Brett Gordon.
First of all, I'd just like to say thank you for letting me come up and address you, Mayor and councilmen and women. I came to Rapid City, really relocated here just 4 months ago, but I was introduced to Rapid City during COVID when I came up here for Freedom Fest, which is a libertarian convention that was moved from Vegas to here during the time of COVID because Vegas kept shutting it down. I found this to be the home of the free and land of the brave, or land of the free and home of the brave, either way. And now I'd like to be able to offer my services with my vision of Rapid City as being the economic engine of not only Western South Dakota, but the entire region. And my background is, I retired from the Air Force as a major logistics officer. I spent 9 of the years in the reserves at the Pentagon. So I'm very familiar with the way they speak and the way that they work. And I believe that with the growth of Ellsworth, which I think is absolutely phenomenal, there are also times when the city may be considering certain things and being spoken to in a way that may not completely understand that the way that some of the defense industrial complex may be coming in here, as well as to better communicate with the base. So I'd love to be able to offer that. I also have a master's in logistics management from the Air Force Institute of Technology and have worked for some of the largest logistics companies in the world, whether that be Maersk Shipping Line and PricewaterhouseCoopers consulting around the world. So I'd like to offer my services pro bono to be able to help to facilitate communications, to reevaluate or evaluate the vision of what can happen here, and to understand the role of logistics, as Councilman Pettigrew brought up about the airport. Absolutely critical. And rail, container shipments into this area need to be developed from North Platte, which is the closest, largest rail yard in the country. If we bring those in, we can bring in infrastructure here that's going to draw in additional industry and diversify the industry that's going to be already looking at this area because of the growth that the base is bringing, as well as just the organic growth of Rapid City. So just like to throw that out there, and anybody that would like to talk to me, please do. I'd love to be able to help. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, Thomas Berger.
I'm here on behalf of several of the other food truck vendors that are also in the audience. I'm actually own 2 insurance agencies here in town. My family also owns a local bakery here in town, and the concern has to do with the reasoning behind mandating that the food trucks now increase their liability limits from the 1 million, 2 million to 2 million, 4 million for the city parks. As an insurance agent, you know, we can help these individuals, but the question that I have first and foremost is what's the logic behind raising the limits and forcing these business owners to do so? These guys all have insurance with several other companies, and for some reason, their other insurance carriers are unable to actually increase their limits that they currently have on their food trucks. We have no problems in helping them. But the real question has to be asked is, what's the logic behind the city changing it in the parks, changing it from the 1 million, 2 million general liability coverages to the 2 million, 4 million that they're now requiring? And we have not been given the answer. I don't know the answer. None of the food truck vendors know the answer. And really what we're trying to find out tonight is, what is that answer? And is there any, any opportunity for them to look at this from a different angle, because we are into the food truck season right now, and some of these folks that want to get their park passes will be required to go to a different insurance company because their current carrier that they currently have, not mine, cannot increase their limits. It seems like a simple task. It just is not that easy. Okay, for whatever reason that their other carriers can't do it, we can definitely help them, but that's not the point. The point is that these food truck vendors, myself and my son included, would like to know what's the logic behind mandating the increased coverages in any park environment. And I guess some of the other food truck vendors will speak up here as soon as I'm done talking, but I don't know how we get that answer, and I don't know who has that answer. So if anybody on the board has the answer of why that's changing and is willing to share that with us, I think primarily that's what I'm here for, is to find out why. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Jared Bren.
I asked him to come. Mike heard about it.
Jared Bren? Okay, there we go.
Hello, thank you. I'm a food truck owner myself, and I don't have a lot of critical information. Again, it comes down to some of the questions that the other food truck vendors are going to pose this evening, and I guess I just wanted to comment on that. I have been under the guise that essentially there hasn't been anything to cause any type of liability coverage increase. There hasn't been a particular situation where a massive hazardous incident or accident has occurred that caused massive damage, where it was analyzed or reconciled as something that we need to have a higher level of insurance liability for our trucks. There is no incident that triggered that, to the best of my knowledge. And following in the question of the previous gentleman is, if there isn't a actual reason for the increase that has to do with an incident that triggered that, I think that needs to be considered. And also, as a food truck owner, just per month, looking at somewhere around $87 to $93 a month increase just to perform the food truck in the parks. And, that's just, it's difficult. We are one of the smallest business entities in Rapid City, along with some of the smaller food trucks that, not even food trucks actually, just vendors that don't actually produce food. They are working on way tighter margins. And, it just really takes a large amount of cream off the top of what we're trying to accomplish financially to support our families and to be a part of the community. And that's all I have to say.
Next, is it Liza Johnston? Is it Lisa or Liza?
It's Liza.
All right. Thank you.
My name is Liza Johnston. My husband and I own Sergeant Pepper's Kettle Corn and Lemonade. We moved to the Black Hills in 2007. We moved here from Wyoming. We've been doing kettle corn and lemonade for 25 years, and we have grown through this community with all of the events all over the Black Hills. We've made a lot of dear friends, our kids. We've made tons of friends with our customers. We've done fundraisers. We do a very large, diverse group of events locally in the Black Hills, and we also do out-of-state events. At one time, we used to go to the Colorado State Fair for 14 days to do our popcorn and lemonade. There was 500,000 people that came through that fair in 14 days, and our limits was on that policy was 1 million, 2 million. We no longer do that event, but I went to their application today, and it is still, they're serving between 500,000 and 700,000 people in 14 days. Their insurance requirements on that vendor fee for food vendors is still 1 million, 2 million. Now, we currently go out of state. I don't know if I should say what state. We go to California twice a year. And these two events that we do in two different locations in California for 2 days, both events are 2 days long. One is 15,000 people in 2 days come through that event. Our insurance policy for this upcoming year is 1 million, 2 million policy. The second event puts 30,000 people through that event in 2 days, and our policy is 1 million, 2 million in California. Now, we like to do small events. We like to do our local events, and I could go ahead and talk to my insurance agent and say, sure, add that $500 annually to my policy. We've been in business for 17 years. We don't have any problems. But it's kind of the principle, because here's my deal. Knock on wood, we have not ever had a claim in Rapid City or the Black Hills, not one claim. We've never injured anybody. We've never run over a sprinkler. We've never backed into an electrical box. We have multiple trailers. Our children also serve this community. It's their business too. And I don't understand why all of a sudden you wake up one day and Rapid City has now increased our insurance to 2 million, 4 million policy.
Thank you, Ms. Johnston. Your time's up.
Thank you. I'm sorry I wasn't watching that.
Next up, Jacob Young.
Like you said, my name is Jacob Young. I and my wife own Creative Bean Coffee Company. Similar issues as all these other guys have been saying. The biggest issue that we are having personally here is we've only been in business for 2 years, and the insurance agents that we have talked to have only have told us that we can't be insured for that because we are under 3, and some people have told me 5 years in business. We want to flesh this out some more and look into it, but that is an issue as a newer company has been running into. I would also like to talk about, with my service dog, I am part of South Dakota Service Dogs. We have been told now that we had to either move or cancel our fundraising event, our dog jog that we do every year, because of this requirement. They are unable to get their insurance up also because they are a high-risk company. They're working with animals, and then they've only been operating for the last 2 years. So with you guys raising these policies that we need to have this insurance, if it doesn't get changed, we have to move our business out of Rapid City. And that's, sorry, that's just not something we want to do. We've moved here, 5 years ago now, and we love it here. This is one of the best places we've ever lived. It's afforded us being able to own this business and better our status as people like we all try to do. At that, I will say I am wearing a Pennington County shirt. None of this is the views of them. I just want to say that. This is me from my standpoint in my business. So I thank you guys for letting me speak here today, and hopefully we can come to an agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Next, Jesse Lee. Jesse, are you here?
Hi, good evening, guys. Mr. Mayor, councilmen and women, thank you for having us out today. If everybody in the audience that is affected by this, can you please stand up for me? It's a big audience there, isn't it, that all stand it up, guys. I own and operate the Good Stuff food truck. We also have several trailers here in town. Moved here 8 years ago to be part of the community. Founders Park was my first day. I went out and made $9, but you know what? It was the ability to be able to go out and make that $9 that made me go out the next day and the next day and the next day. And that is under attack, we feel like, with what is going on, with what's going on with the Parks Department and them raising their insurance requirements for, frankly, we think no reason. I also run the event in Canyon Lake Park called Family Food Truck Night. 35 trucks signed up this year, you guys, 35. 7 of them have their parks permits. And that's not right. To this point in time, my event should have already been scheduled and already had their schedules out to the trucks so they can further their schedules along for the summer. 7 of my 35 trucks are able to obtain that parks permit right now. That is absolutely killing my event. So now my event is either going to have to move places or move towns. That's a really huge event, you guys. It's 19 weeks, May 21st to September 24th. We run it every single Tuesday, 5 to 8. 35 trucks. We have 15 a night. I mean, that's something huge that's going to go away if for some reason we can't talk about this and hold a discussion and somehow hold a vote. How can something, and I see the city attorney and the Parks Department walk away from what our hearsay comes from, is an insurance company came to the city attorney. Why, you know what I mean? This is his decision, we heard. So how can one decision from one man hurt so many people in the community? This isn't just our event. I've been talking to Hills Alive. I've been talking to Pride Fest. Pride Fest said I can speak on their behalf. Pride Fest is moving their event after this year if this requirements doesn't go away because they can't afford it either. Pride Fest said that they now had to take their insurance out of state because their insurance company who is in state couldn't write the policy. Couldn't write the policy, you guys. You're now hurting all of our small businesses by this requirement that didn't even get a vote. We didn't get a say. We didn't get our voice heard in a community full of 35 food truck owners, small business owners. We're more than small business owners, you guys. Some of us have restaurants in town. Other of us do many other things than just a food truck. Some of us that were able to obtain that restaurant came from the food truck being able to operate in our city parks, you guys. This is absolutely going to hurt us. It's absolutely going to affect the city by the city losing events. You guys, Hills Alive almost went away because of the funding. If you take away even 10% of their vendors and they need to try to recover that from other donations or other
Mr. Lee,
sponsorships,
time's
I
up.
understand. I got 25 seconds. They're gonna if that event goes away, I'm part of that event. I'm part of Pride Fest. If these events go away, I'm an event-based operator.
Gotcha.
A lot of these are as well.
Duly
And
noted.
That's why we're here, you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Next, we have John Miller, and just as an update, my city attorney did come up here and tell me that that's something they're going to work on. He and the parks director are talking about it right now. So they're going to look at this and see if there's another way to go about it. But Mr. Miller, give you your time, sir. You have 3 minutes.
All right. Appreciate it, Mayor and Council. I'm actually one of the first food trucks to get a permit in Rapid City when the food truck permit ordinance went through in 2017. And I now operate food trucks that operate all over the country. And Rapid City is the only place I go other than Cheyenne Frontier Days and doing events for the NFL like the Super Bowl that require a $2 and $4 million policy. I mean, Glendale, Arizona is a $500,000 and $1 million policy for their parks. New York City is a $1 million and $2 million to operate in Central Park. So you are equating Rapid City Parks to Central Parks to Las Vegas is a $100,000 and $300,000 policy to operate a food truck in the parks in Las Vegas, Nevada, where they have a hard time growing grass. And it's just one of those things that doesn't make a lot of sense. And like the other food truck owners, we haven't got a lot of clarity on it. So hopefully we can get some clarity on that.
Thank you. Final speaker request form is for Carol Merwin.
Thank you all for being here and for what you do. I am making a personal request that will, okay, so somebody complained that I was parking on grass on my daughter's property. We have 3 vehicles that we need to keep changing out all the time because there are 3 of us. It's really difficult, and making me park in the street, then I'm on Minnecotta where Monte Vista comes down, and then Minnecotta's here. And it's really hard for people who are coming down Minnecotta to Monte Vista to see if somebody's coming either direction there. And I'm causing a problem for the mail deliveries, the garbage pickup, the recycle pickup. I'm FedEx, UPS, the neighbors where I'm parked now, and they have to back out of their driveways to leave, and there I am causing an issue. So what I'd like is permission to break the rule for about 4 months. That's when I think the work on the property will be done. So, permission to break the rules.
Oh, Miss Merwin. Folks, just as an update on the food trucks, we're going to take a look at that. Thanks for bringing it to our attention. You make a lot of good points tonight, and so hopefully we'll have an update on that very soon. Okay?
Where did that come from?
Well, stand by. Mr. Roberts is asking the city attorney, where did this come from? So, Mr. Landine, can I have you weigh in on that?
I can't answer that for certain. I think one of my staff potentially, when they were looking at updating the agreements for the year, made a recommendation. Why they made that or where it came from, I don't know if it was just inflationary. But when I stepped out with Mr. Beegler, I asked him if we'd ever made a claim on anybody's insurance, and he said not that he could recall. So I don't see why we would raise the insurance requirement if there hasn't been an indication that the insurance requirements we had were insufficient, which it doesn't sound like there have been. So I think tomorrow I will discuss it with my staff who were involved, and my guess is by tomorrow afternoon, the insurance requirements will go back to, unless there is something that I'm unaware of, that they inform me, I'm guessing the insurance rates will go back to where they were previously by tomorrow afternoon.
Sounds fair to me. Sounds fair to me. Just make sure you do due diligence. And Vicki Fisher, Director Fisher, you have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And may I remind everyone that insurance that can be collected for food vending trucks or food vendors in the downtown right-of-way, on sidewalks, or on sidewalk cafes are all within the adopted ordinance, and that amount has not changed. It still continues to be $2 million aggregate and $1 million per occurrence.
Very well. Thank you. Good to know. This is a good part of the process. So these things happen. A little communication goes a long way. So thank you all. Thanks to the folks up here. That'll take us to the end of the general public comment. And we will move on to non-public hearing items 2 through 31, and open public comment for items 2 through 31. I do have several speaker request forms for these items. So we'll take these as they come here. First, for item 29, Chante Hart. Ms. Hart, did you wish to speak? Okay.
Hello. Well, good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. My name is Chante Hart, and I'm honored to speak to you on behalf of He Sapa Otipi. But before I get started, I would like to acknowledge all of the work that has gone up to where we've come to at this point. I would like to acknowledge all of your work as city council members making tough decisions for our community, but also all of our ancestors and our grandmothers and grandfathers who came before us to make it possible for us to have a community center and to have these tough conversations tonight. He Sapa Otipi is a community-based approach to creating a community center, and it was created from community conversations. And so I just want to acknowledge everyone that has done work into making this happen today. One thing we have in common with your common council is that when we make decisions, we think about the future generations, 7 generations ahead and behind us. And so I just wanted to also acknowledge that too. One other commonality that we have with you is that our Indigenous community, we're not homogenous thinkers, and nor are we homogenous business decision makers. And so I just wanted to point that out to you too tonight. One thing we have in common too is that we all want a better Rapid City. We want a better future for our future generations, our children, and all of our families and the future generations to come. So just acknowledging all of the things that we have in common tonight. And we want to keep these community conversations going. So this is an opportunity for us to work together with the Native community in Rapid City. And so we just hope that you take all of our considerations tonight and to really think about them tonight. And we know that you're making tough decisions for all of us. And the decision that you make tonight, it's going to affect the Native community and our relationship with you. And so we want to make sure that we want to invite you for collaboration. And we encourage you to make the right decision tonight. And we acknowledge all of your time, and we'll make it quick. And so I would like to pass it over to Bobby Cook, who is our Director of Design and Planning.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Bobby Cook. I'm Sichangu Lakota. I live here in Rapid City. I have educational and professional background in architecture and planning. And as Chante mentioned, that He Sapa Otipi is a grassroots organization we started in 2014 from community conversations. And so we're not outsiders. We're part of this community. We want to see this center for our children, for our grandchildren, for our present youth. And so, a lot of our community outreach over the past 4 years has centered on getting our community voice for this community center. So we've received over 500 community members' input through surveys, through workshops, through talking circles, through presentations, and this is an ongoing process for us. And we encourage everyone in here who would like to participate to come and send us an email or get involved. And in April and May, we're going to be starting our design workshops for schematic design. And so, our community's priorities and is part of this visioning process, and the visioning process has led to these priorities. And so our priorities include ceremonies for all stages of life, from birth to end of life, traditional Lakota wakes and funerals, learning Lakota language, culture, and connecting with one another, as well as having services for elders, youth, and families. In our survey, many folks identified that the community center would be an epicenter of healing in our community here in Rapid. And so He Sapa Otipi has received approximately 6 acres of land donated to us on the north side of Rapid City. Our big dream is a 40,000 square foot facility with a large gymnasium, gathering spaces, large and small, a community kitchen, meeting rooms, classrooms, maker spaces, as well as office space for He Sapa Otipi, our partners, and co-working spaces for people who are in small businesses. Our phase 1, and will it include approximately 18,000 square foot facility. It would be $12 million, and with the $9 million vision funds and the $3 million from private donors that we currently have committed, that would fulfill that. We would be able to build a phase 1, and that phase 1 meets our community's needs and priorities. Construction could start as early as 2025. And so, in conclusion, we have partners and experts in architecture, engineering, planning, construction, and development as well. Legal counsel that specializes in these types of projects, and they are ready, we're ready, but first we need to remove this contingency.
And that's why we're here tonight, is to to remove the contingency. We have a plan, we have everything in place. All we need is access to our vision funds. And so we will stand by for questions, and we
Thank you.
thank you for your time.
Yep, thank you. And we'll, yeah, stand by for questions, and just so the council knows that it's let them bleed right into each other's time. So it's 6 minutes total. So thank you both. Next, Mark Lonehill. And Mr. Lonehill, you have 3 minutes.
Hello. Anytime you deal with this Indian land, you need to have a public meeting. And I haven't seen one. I haven't seen a public meeting that was announced for this. I mean, I was told that, I talked with the city attorney, and he said that this $9 million is for, well, I thought it was for the 3 properties, but Dan Simpson and other people have told me that this $9 million is to forgive all the misuses of the Indian school land. Is that what this is for? I mean, I'd like an answer on that. I mean, that's a big question. I mean, as far as federal people, the BIA, George Jewett wrote the BIA about this, and according to his mail, which I got a copy of, he asked for any information that you guys, that the city made regarding this Indian school land, and their response was there is no communication with them regarding this Indian school land. And I was also told that anytime you deal with this Indian school land, like I said, there has to be a public meeting, and it has to be well announced. And none of that happened. I mean, if you're giving $9 million, who's this money go to? I mean, is it going to go to Nick Tilson? I mean, he's here. I mean, is he here to make sure he gets his money?
Well, sir.
That's all I have to say.
Your questions will be answered when we get to that, those items. Thank you. Next, Cheryl Chapman. Ms. Chapman, there you are.
Good evening. I'm Cheryl Chapman, Executive Director of Western Dakota Regional Water, and want to thank you for consideration of funding for this evening, which is a match to a state passed bill, which for every dollar that we can raise locally, we can receive 4 to study the feasibility of bringing additional water from the Missouri River and other areas to western South Dakota. And I'll be available for any questions there might be. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Michael Pogany.
Good evening. My name is Michael Pogany. I'm the General Manager of Electric Operations for Black Hills Energy here in Rapid City. Good evening, Mayor Solomon and members of the council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm here tonight to talk with you a little bit about the climate resiliency plan that the city is working on. Black Hills Energy is looking forward to continuing our strong partnership with the city on the development of this plan. We're excited that the city is looking into energy efficiency, weatherization, electric vehicles, tree plantings, among other initiatives. Black Hills Energy supports all sensible paths to reducing greenhouse gas emissions while providing safe, effective, cost-effective energy to customers. We believe that a balanced mix of all energy resources is essential to providing a reliable and resilient clean energy future. Rapid City residents enjoy reliability rates in the top quartile in the country, with the lights being on greater than 99.997% of the time. We do this through thoughtful integration of energy resources, including baseload fossil fuels and an emerging percentage of renewable energy. We too have corporate sustainability goals to reduce our own greenhouse gas emissions by 40% by 2030 and 70% by 2040. We will accomplish this through the retirement of aged generation assets and incorporating utility-scale, cost-effective renewable energy. We invest in renewable energy so that all customers can benefit from the electricity they provide. In addition to our customers here in western South Dakota, the Black Hills, Wyoming, Montana, and Colorado, we provide natural gas to nearly 1 million customers in 7 states in the region. We recognize that housing is also a very important issue for the Black Hills and feel that mandating housing retrofits or reducing the ability to use natural gas in your homes would have a negative impact on the affordability of housing. We would also like to caution the city to consider all costs associated with long-term operation and maintenance of electric generation facilities, both for the city and its homeowners. Utility scale generation is the lowest cost and the most reliable energy resource benefiting all customers regardless of their economic status. Black Hills has been supporting our communities in the Black Hills for over 140 years and looks forward to doing so well into the future. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. And final speaker request form is from Katie Good.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Katie Good, and I'm speaking on behalf of Montana Dakota Utilities regarding the EPA Climate Pollution Reduction Grant, which is items 20 and 30 on the agenda. Montana Dakota Utilities commends the City of Rapid City in drafting and submitting a priority climate action plan to the EPA to obtain federal funding to achieve community emission reductions. We look forward to further engagement on the city's task force and appreciate the opportunity to provide feedback to the city's plan today. MDU serves 74,000 electric and natural gas customers in 48 South Dakota communities. This includes providing natural gas to 34,000 homes and businesses in Rapid City and another 22,000 customers across the Black Hills. We're committed to ensuring safe, reliable, and affordable energy is supplied to communities the company serves, while also being committed to achieving emission reduction goals. In 2023, MDU Resource Group's natural gas utility companies set a target to reduce methane emissions 30% by 2035 compared to 2022 levels. To do this, MDU is looking to using advanced mobile leak technology to further mitigate leaks. I'm here today to speak briefly about 3 opportunities to partner and to provide a word of caution on building codes. MDU is offering to partner with Rapid City on possible renewable natural gas opportunities at the city landfill. MDU has experience operating the RNG production facility in Billings, Montana landfill since 2010 and is willing to put that expertise to work for Rapid City. The Billings RNG facility has produced approximately 1.66 million decatherms of RNG through 2023. To put this in perspective, this would be enough RNG to heat approximately 23,000 Rapid City homes for a year. MDU offers natural gas energy efficiency programs for South Dakota residential and commercial customers. Our current rebates include high-efficiency natural gas furnaces, programmable thermostats, and a commercial custom energy program. MDU South Dakota programs that were implemented from 2018 to 2023 will save approximately 785 decatherms of natural gas, which is more than 41,000 metric tons of CO2 equivalent emission savings, or the emissions from approximately 54 households in 1 year. One of the planned goals over low-emission city facilities and schools is to evaluate the potential for geo-exchange systems in building heat for schools. MDU is interested in further conversations with the city about thermal energy network technology and the potential for MDU playing a role in this goal. And finally, a word of caution about building codes. South Dakota state law protects the rights of customers and consumers to choose their fuel source. Under the local law, local governments may not prohibit the use of natural gas, propane, or other fuel sources. This includes building codes also. In summary, Montana Dakota Utilities stands ready to partner with the City of Rapid City and its goal to reduce emissions and looks forward to being a part of the next task force meeting. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today and welcome any questions.
Thank you. And that takes us to the end of the public comment for non-public hearing items. And we will now move to consent items 2 through 30. Would the council wish to pull any items for separate consideration? Mr. Maher.
Yes, I would like, I'd like to pull item number 20 for separate consideration, and also 30.
20 and 30 are pulled.
And 29.
And 29. Councilor Sechrist?
I just had 19 to add to that.
19. Anybody else? So if I could have a motion to approve consent items 2 through 30 with the exception of 19, 20, 29, and 30. Motion by Evans, second by Roseland. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, that takes us to item 19. Approved request from Western Dakota Regional Water System for funding in the amount of $100,000. And Ms. Sechrist, did you want to pop back in the queue? There we go.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to take a moment. I want to move to approve and ask to retain the floor if I can.
Motion to approve by Sechrist, second by Roberts. You have the floor.
I wanted to take a moment and just acknowledge the work of this group and Cheryl Chapman and the Western Dakota Regional Water System Board and their efforts for this critical project. We've made some tremendous progress and had some significant milestones achieved this year, and I think the city supporting this is important. I did question if this was already part of our existing budget or if this is somehow going to be absorbed, and I was wondering if I could just direct that to Director Ainsley to clarify.
Director Ainsley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is part of the adopted budget.
Oh, even better. Well, wonderful. So, thank you.
There we go. Any other questions? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 20, acknowledge update on EPA Climate Pollution Reduction Grant and presentation of the draft Community Climate Resiliency Plan. Mr. Maher, you have the floor, sir.
Yes, we went through this at Legal and Finance last week, and there's some things in this plan that are just unrealistic, and I would like some more work put into the plan before I can vote to approve even the draft. And our friend from MDU brought up the building codes. I mean, this plan says we're going to change our building codes so that 100% of our new construction will be carbon neutral or no greenhouse gas neutral. So some of these things I think need to be adjusted before I would vote to support this.
Okay. Councilor Sechrist.
Hi, thank you, Mayor. I was just wondering if perhaps we could bring up either the grants division or sustainability manager to maybe speak to this plan and it being a preliminary plan and the timeline and the effort that I guess in my understanding of this, there's still a significant amount of work to be done. And so I'd like to hear what that might look like on the back end, and if you could help us understand that or clarify. Thank you.
We have Lizanne Zeller, the program manager, as well as JB Tennis from the grants division.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, council members and Mayor. So yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions. So this Community Climate Resiliency Plan was the first deliverable due to the EPA. We submitted a draft for the March 1st deadline. It was a collection of ideas. We invited 40 people to a task force and collected a variety of ideas, and everyone was able to give their input. And yes, as part of the requirement for the EPA, our consultant did have to calculate what the greenhouse gas emissions would be. But as you all know, a plan is a plan and not an ordinance, so none of this is being mandated by anyone. It is a plan in draft form. And we've actually presented to you last week and asked for your acknowledgement of the plan, but not necessarily your approval of the plan. It's a little bit different. We have had some ongoing conversations with the local utilities and things, and I'm always happy to meet and discuss and listen to them more and get their ideas. I will just say that this was our first step, our first deliverable due to the EPA, but it was a very high-level, quick plan that we had to get done by March 1st in order to be eligible to apply for the implementation grant funding that's due April 1st. Our next step will be moving into a more comprehensive, longer-term detailed plan where we will get more into the feasibility of what's workable or not. The objective of this initial priority community climate resiliency plan was not necessarily to determine what's feasible. It was simply to collect ideas from a wide variety of stakeholders and get input from different folks.
Ms. Sechrist, you still have the floor, ma'am.
And thank you, Lizanne. Just to clarify, so this plan will be brought back forward for approval of the plan presented to be submitted. So we're acknowledging right now the draft plan. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes.
And then we'll have another chance to review the final submission.
If the council would like that, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Kevin Maher for another 3 minutes.
Lizanne, I would like to, I will reach out to you because I would like to meet and understand some of the methodology used in that measurement of greenhouse gases, because I thought I read in there that the measurement was taken in 2021. So I just would like to understand how that is put together, and then talk about why you mentioned the other day we're so far over the national average of greenhouse gases. So I will reach out. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Got a motion to acknowledge by Sechrist. Got a second by Evans, and we'll go to Pat Roseland for.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to basically shout out to to Lizanne and to Jamie for all the work they've done, along with the Sustainability Committee and many, many others that she had mentioned that she reached out to. This is a preliminary foray into what we think could be a good thing for Rapid City. And I again applaud her and the others for reaching out, doing a lot of research, and probably a lot of overtime on your part, Lizanne, and sleepless nights to get this thing done. And so I appreciate it, and I'm voting for this as an acknowledgement. Thank you.
Mr. Stroman reminds me that I allowed Ms. Sechrist to make a motion right after speaking, which I shouldn't have. So would someone else wish to make a motion and then second? Had she moved before? Okay. I'm just trying to do it the right way. Mr. Stroman is trying to correct me. So, all right, we'll leave it as is. Any other questions or comments? Okay. All in favor of acknowledging, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Motion passes with 2 noes from Maher and Roberts. That'll take us to item 29. A request from Hisapa OTP to remove the contingency requiring an agreement resolving the West Rapid City lands issue in order to access the $9 million in vision funds, which have previously been allocated to construct a Native American community center in Rapid City. And we will go to Mr. Maher.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to make a motion and then retain the floor. I'd like to make the motion that we remove the contingency plan, or the contingency clause, so that this project can move forward.
Got a motion by Maher, second by Lehman, to remove the contingency, and you have the floor, sir.
Okay, I just wanted to remind everybody about the history of this project from this Vision Committee's standpoint. When the Vision Committee met almost 2.5 years ago, we started talking about this project. But we also, there were 9 of us, and I was a member of that committee. At the end of 6 months, when we presented to the city, we recommended, I think, about 16 projects out of 26 that we had received requests. This was our #1 project. So this is the project that we thought was most important out of the entire list. And so I just want to remind people that, and that we, the Vision Committee, did not put this clause, the contingency clause that was placed by the City Council at the time when they passed the $9 million. So by removing this, we can move forward and get that project underway. Thank you.
Next up, Councilor Sechrist.
Of course.
Thank you, Mayor. Of course. HESAPA OTP symbolizes progress with regard to relationship building between Rapid City and our Native American community members. As Councilman Maher just stated, the funds were previously awarded based upon this contingency with the land negotiations being settled. So we've now been informed that the process to resolve the land negotiations could take years. And in respect to not holding this project up further, I'm going to be supporting that we move forward without the contingency. I do think it's important to note that this project will adhere to the same Vision Fund ordinance stipulations as any other project. We heard from City Attorney Landine at the Legal Finance meeting that updated on the agreements. Funds cannot be used for ongoing operations and maintenance, which is why it's important for us to go into an agreement with the organization, as with every other organization that we award vision funds for, to protect the city's investment moving forward. So I wish HESAPA OTP all the success in moving this project forward from concept to reality, and look forward to seeing all that will be created to further honor our collective community, to inspire healing, health, and wellness for all people. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Councilor Stroman.
Thank you, Mayor. I just was reviewing the letter that was written by the HESAPA OTP on March 8, 2024 to the city attorney, and it was signed by Ms. Hart and Ms. Koch. And what we're talking about here is the contingency placed on our vision funds requires Department of Interior approval in an effort to resolve the 3 outstanding deeds of prior Rapid City Indian Board school lands that are in violation of the 1948 Act. The contingency was placed by the council, and it's become pretty apparent that trying to get that contingency of the federal government to remove that or to resolve those issues is not going to happen. And so I fully support removing that portion of the requirements so that we can move forward. And I also wish the HESAPA OTP all the success that they can have, because this is a very worthwhile project for our community. That's all. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the council? Okay, the motion on the floor is to remove the contingency. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 30, authorize staff to apply for and accept, if awarded, the EPA Climate and Pollution Reduction Implementation Grant in the amount of up to $50 million. Councilor Sechrist, you have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor. Sorry I'm taking up so much airtime today. I did want to speak to this item if it was pulled. I am in support of this. This grant application comes, with this grant application comes an opportunity to invest in a cleaner economy that will spur innovation and economic growth while building more equitable, resilient communities. This is a forward-thinking plan, allows us to work alongside our neighbors, our neighboring communities, to reduce our carbon footprint collectively throughout multiple sectors. I wanted to take a moment and thank Lizanne and Jamie for your efforts in this. I know that the timeline has been tight, and this has been a major lift, and your work is greatly appreciated by many of us, and thank you for what you've done to bring it this far. To meet the deadlines and requirements of the Phase 1 planning grant. So this is just really an incredible opportunity that you've brought for us for consideration today. You've beautifully leveraged the needs of our community while balancing the comfort levels surrounding a difficult conversation. We would be remiss as a community not to move forward with this opportunity. You have my full support and confidence and moving this ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, go to Councilor Ham.
Yeah, thank you. I was curious. I have a question with the wording with regard to the next phase of this process. So there's a whole host of variables involved here, and I was curious as to whether we would want to pass this and accept if awarded. Like, I would like a little bit more guidance on what that means with the words "and accept if awarded." I don't know.
Did you want to pose a question to Lizanne, or is that something you want to ask a city attorney on language?
Might be Joel would be the one to ask that question to. Is this something where, will this be presented to the council again, or is this one and done tonight? I guess would be my question.
For the answer, we'll go to City Attorney Joel Landine.
You know, I'm not actually sure where it is. I would defer to Jamie or to Lizanne, because I would assume in some ways, like, that the council that they could maybe bring back individual they're seeking funding for, but I'm not sure if they're already identified in here or not, but.
Yeah, so that's past language we've had for other grants before when you guys would approve, but we would be open to, if you want to just say, authorize us to apply, and then we can bring it back if awarded.
Okay. I'd probably be more comfortable with that language, and this just amend the motion, given the volume of this particular grant. So I'd make a proposal. We amend the motion to strike and accept if awarded for the purposes of this particular grant.
We'll let somebody else make that motion since you've already spoken, but we'll go to Kevin, unless you're done. Do you have more?
Yep.
Kevin Maher, you have the floor, sir.
I just wanted to comment that, you know, I'm not real happy with that plan, but I'm all in favor of this particular grant. There's a lot of great projects in here. Thank you.
All right. And Mr. Stroman, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to amend or make a substitute motion that we authorize staff to apply for the EPA Climate and Pollution Reduction Implementation Grant in the amount of up to $50 million, and delete the language, quote, "and accept if awarded," close quote, so that we can have another look at this if the grant is made. So that's my motion.
Okay, we got a motion by Stroman, second by Ham, to authorize staff to apply for the EPA Climate and Pollution Reduction Implementation Grant in the amount of up to $50 million, leaving out the accept if rewarded. Any other comments or questions on this item? Otherwise, all in favor? Are you in there? Oh, stand by. Mr. Roberts, you know you're not popping up on here, so you're going to have to.
Let me use yours.
Yep, there you go. Mr. Roberts has the floor.
I just want to clarify this, that your motion does make it so if this come back, whatever the grant is, the council has to accept the award. Was that your intention on the? So. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
It's a good clarifying question, that it's not being accepted tonight. It'll come back to the council if it is awarded. Any other questions, comments, clarifications? Mr. Evans, you have the floor, sir.
Well, I would just like to make one comment. I think the concern is that we might get locked into something that's going to cause us to commit additional funds, but I believe the council already has a fail-safe because we're not allowed to spend money that the council doesn't approve, so it hasn't been previously approved. It wouldn't go through anyhow. I believe that's how it works, if I'm not mistaken, so just wanted to make that comment.
Well, that's one reason, yeah. Any other questions, comments? All right, otherwise, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. That takes us to the end of the consent items, and we will move on to non-consent item 32, and open public comment for that item. I do not have any public speaking requests for that, so we will close public comment and read in item 32, first reading of ordinance number 6604, an ordinance amending sections 2.28.060 of the Rapid City Municipal Code regarding the review of ordinances. Motion by Seacrest to approve. Second by Ham. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. That takes us to public hearing items 33 through 39, and we will open public comment for public hearing items 33 through 39. I do not have any speaker requests for them, so we will close public comment on those items and move on to consent public hearing items 33 through 37. Would the council like to make a motion to approve all Motion
to approve them all.
Second.
Motion by Roberts, second by Stroman to approve items 33 through 37. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. That takes us to the end of the consent public hearing calendar, and we will begin non-consent public hearing items. 38, second reading of ordinance number 6601, an ordinance amending section 17.06 of chapter 17 of the Rapid City Municipal Code. A request by Long Branch Civil Engineering, Inc. for the Ameris Group for a rezoning request from General Agricultural District to Low Density Residential District 1 for property generally described as being located southeast of the intersection of Merino Drive and Country Road.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Roberts to approve with a second by Sechrist. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 39, second reading of ordinance number 6602, an ordinance amending section 17.06 of chapter 17 of the Rapid City Municipal Code. A request by Advanced Design Engineering and Surveying, Inc. for BH Capital LLC for a rezoning request from Medium Density Residential District to General Commercial District for property generally described as being located at 143 North Valley Drive.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Roberts, second by Roseland to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have an executive session item. Do we have a motion to enter executive session? Motion by Ham. Got a motion by Ham. Second by Roberts. We're in executive session.
Thought we were gonna get to home, John.
I thought we were going to go home quick.
Do we have a motion to come out of executive session? Got a motion by Roberts, second by Evans, to come out of executive session. Next, we'll go to the bill list, and with that, we will take it over to Finance Director Daniel Ainsley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The total bills for tonight are $11,615,369.72.
Move to approve.
Motion by Roberts, second by Lehman to approve. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Ham makes the motion, second by Stroman to adjourn. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, we're adjourned, everyone.